Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. This week we're going to be going over The Eradicators, a Silverwolf comic from 1986. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own artwork. And if you guys would check this out, it would greatly help the channel and my artwork and my art career and my comics career, and I would love you very dearly. I produce a comic, a full-size full color 12-page comic book that I send out to my Patreons, my patrons, for $3 a month. This is a new price structure. I'm going to be sending the 12-page comic book as well as a sticker for those that decide to go the $3 tier. You can back me for less and receive the sticker, or you can go to my website at alexanderturbin.com and you can check out all of my different stuff from there. Or you can contact me at alexturbin04401 at Instagram, and you can check me out there. Like I said, it has random access, Mutandis, all kinds of different things that I've done throughout my career. And now that that stuff's all done with, let's check out the Eradicators. So I reviewed a Silverwolf comic a few months ago, Grips, and it was Grips Presents. It wasn't the first Grips with Tim Vigil's art. I liked the artist, and but the writing was a little bit lacking, and the production value. I would say one of the drawbacks of being a small indie publisher is your layout and just the whole design of your book really can suffer by having either a singular vision or not really professionals designing the book, because the design of these Silverwolf books, they've had a few different iterations. I think the some of the first grips and stuff were designed maybe by Tim Vigil, so that was a little bit better for everything. But then you had some of these other artists that maybe weren't designers, maybe they were just comic book artists, and they didn't really have a handle of the design aspect of the book, so that really kind of suffered. Like the design for this, why would you not put a border around this to kind of tighten things up, and then from the top that should be bigger. Just so much of the design of these comics just are a little bit lacking. Like this, why is this all the way over here? This should be moved over. It would be one thing if they were printing them themselves. I don't think that that's what was happening. I think they sent them out to a printer. So all of the everything it should have been aligned and lined up and level and even and all that stuff. So I'm not entirely sure what the deal was with the layouts of these things. They don't seem to get better. They just kind of meander on. Sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse. I'm not sure why the Eradicators is so small. I do like the new Silverwolf logo, but the Silverwolf comics could have been bigger as well. And I don't know. I guess the layouts for a lot of the Silverwolf comics just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like the layouts of the Grips issue that I reviewed a few months ago. But it's not all about the layouts. It's about the comics too. So it's written by Christopher A. Silver, and the artist is Ron Lim, and most of you know him from Silver Surfer or Malibu / Eternity. No, not Eternity. Who did X Mutants? I know it went to Malibu. I think it was Eternity. I think Eternity and then Malibu. But anyway, I don't know where this falls in his career, but it feels like it's very early in his career, because he's getting a grasp of certain techniques and certain things. And I think that as his career progresses, obviously he goes on and does much better and bigger things. I also don't know who did the lettering. They don't say who does the lettering, whether it's Ron Lim or Christopher or they got somebody else. But the lettering is a little bit, the placement is really off in a lot of these places. I really don't like to criticize a lot of comics and comic artists and writers because it's very difficult to write a comic, to draw a comic. And I really like to put that into perspective because I know firsthand how difficult the process is of doing this. But since I'm reviewing these, I was watching a PSVR review, or actually just some guys talking about reviewing, and they were saying that you have an obligation to the audience to see the bad things as well as the good things. So I think maybe I've been a little bit easy on some of these guys, but hopefully you can glean from the very last review score that I give it to really kind of see where I'm headed with these reviews. And also when I'm going into the artwork, I hope you can kind of glean some information of what I really feel about the artwork from when I'm going over it, as well as the writing. So let's get into the story. You start out with the Eradicators. They're a group of superheroes, and very, very standard. They stand for justice, freedom, and everything. And they're sitting there at a park bench, and they get attacked by these creatures, aliens, whatever. You don't know. You don't know at the time. This is the first issue, and it's introduction, book 1, chapter 1. And so this is very interesting, and I really like how they do it. They take each character one by one, and they go into the backstory of this character. And as you go into the backstory of this character, they will hop in and out of other people's, other characters' perspectives. I feel like Akira Kurosawa might have done that. Rashomon wasn't like that. That was a single event told by two different perspectives. This is a long story told by multiple perspectives as they're each inserted into the storyline. Like it starts out with the alien who is being attacked by his this is part of being attacked by the other aliens. It starts out he's part of an alien race, and they're going to do some kind of medical testing and stuff. But instead of doing that, he escapes, and the queen of the alien race is very angry about it. So she sends her Imperial guards. I know it's not the X-Men, it's not Lalandra and the Shi'ar, but she sends her Eradicators. That's who they actually are. I think the Eradicators are actually the bad guys. So he escapes in this ship, and then he lands in, or not lands, he ends up near Earth, up in space, and he's being attacked by other ships. And then this is where another character drops in, and it's some sort of robot. And basically, as he's fighting from the beginning fight, he has like a flashback of when he was introduced into the storyline. So he's flying by, and he's another race or something machine, and he just decides to he's heard some radio chatter over the intercoms or whatever, and he's seen what this alien is up against, and he's going to help him. They each says they have reasons of their own, but really this reasons of their own is just kind of a lack of storytelling. So then each character in turn is fighting at the park bench, and then they flash back to who or how they begin to interact with these other two, the alien and the robot, and this ninja guy. A lot of them seem to have the same kind of powers. They're just kind of badass ninja assassins in different looking costumes, I guess. So it goes back and forth, fighting in the forest against the assassins, ninjas, or whatever. And this has two people, and they're on a farm or something. And the ship that the alien and the robot and the other assassin are on is falling. Excuse me. and falls near this farmhouse, I guess, and these two other characters, they end up intercepting the spacecraft, and they can fight, I guess, and they also intercept some kind of magical, not magical, but technological orb that gives them superpowers, and then the spaceship crashes, and they all get together, and that's how they all meet, and that's how they become the Eradicators. And it's Rand, Stetch, Lance, Alex, and Diana, and somebody else. And so it's an interesting way to introduce all of the characters. I've complained multiple times about comics that just throw a character out at you. You don't know who it is. You don't know their backstory. You don't know anything, and it's just bam, they're there. Kind of like the X-Men movies. That is a thing that they seriously have a problem with doing. That they did that with Psylocke. They did that with Angel in the second one. Nightcrawler, the second time they had him. They're just kind of like there, bam, fighting in a thing. You're supposed to know who they are, which, I mean, if you read the comics, you do. But if you don't, that's just plain bad storytelling. You have to kind of either ease your character into the situation, or you throw them into the situation and then kind of back up and tell a backstory, or it has to have some kind of organic feel to it. It can't just be like a rush job, that's what this avoided. This did not become a rush job. But at the same time, the lack of Christopher's writing skills, I would say this is probably one of the best plotted books that I've read of his. But still, each of the characters, they don't have a voice. They're not really different at all. They don't have, their dialogue is very similar, and it's very matter of fact. State what you're saying. Don't have any kind of color or character in your characters, and so they get together, and they're the Eradicators. They end up at somebody's house, and actually I think they're at the farm, and so that's when they get attacked by these assassins from the alien empire or whatever. And then there's this other, he must be a big assassin sent by the queen, because I think the queen wants that alien killed or something else. He does try to put these little quips in that are supposed to be funny, like his comic book collection is his most prized possession. So that's kind of cool. And there's a few things where he really tries to add some color in his story, but it doesn't really pan out. So the assassins go back to the big leader guy, and he says that he'll take care of it himself. And basically he goes to fight the Eradicators. So it's a simple story. It starts out with the Silverwolf intro page, which has Christopher talking about Silverwolf comics and why they're late. I think every issue has a new intro that explains why they're late and why there's problems with the company. So I've said this about his writing before. You can check out the Grips Presents #1 issue that I reviewed a few months ago, and it's kind of a jumble. It's a little bit of a mishmash. At least this has a little bit of continuity as to what's going on and when, and I really appreciate that. I think maybe Ron Lim had a little bit of access to his writing and changed things and helped him along. I don't know. That's just a guess. Maybe he learns after a few issues. I'm always thinking of the old adage, everyone has 1,000 bad pages in them. And that's maybe how it is with writers too. If you do so many comics, you eventually get good at it, doing it, and you kind of make changes and get better at doing whatever it is you're doing. So hopefully that's the case. Or maybe he just had some help with some other, maybe Ron Lim, like I said. So the pacing is pretty good. It's slowed down. A lot of the pacing in Grips Presents #1 is really rushed, and it doesn't really know where it's going or what it's doing. But this is a little bit slower. It says, we're going to introduce these characters and we're going to do it in a specific way, and I appreciate that. And if they each had their own uh, facades, if they had their own characters, I think this really would have been a successful uh, writing comic. As it was, the lack of that makes it a little bit hard to read. The writing, I mean, the art as is very good. I mean, Ron Lim, he just gets better and better with every issue, every comic he does. I think this is before X Mutants, and you can really tell. And I think he inks his own stuff, which I think he is probably a better penciler than an inker, which a lot of us are like that. That's me for sure. I think I'm a better penciler than I am inker. I mean, I can do certain things, but then there's some things where if you're an inker, you know how to do these situations, and do it the best that it can be done. But like I said, he's inking himself, I believe, and he does a lot of really cool stuff. Then the panel layout and the narrative art is really good. I have no complaints about anything. I never had to reread anything as far as panel wise or narrative art wise. I may have had to reread things because of the writing, but not because of the art. The only thing that I would complain about a little bit is the lack of depth. He has a little bit of a lack of depth. All of the characters are kind of the same size in each of these. I mean, you have a little bit of here, but the rest of the page, almost everything is the same size. But that is just really minute stuff that he grows into and definitely does a lot better later on in his career. And so, I mean, the art's really good. I wouldn't say really good. It's definitely a work in progress at this point. But you can see as he's growing, he's growing as an artist. You can see his strengths, his space stuff. You can see why they gave him Silver Surfer. His space is really awesome. His action sequences are really phenomenal. His fight scenes and motions are awesome. I think where he falls and lacks a little bit is the standard everyday scenes, which that is the aspect of almost every artist. That's what John Byrne said. He said he could do a great fight scene, but if they're just sitting around at a kitchen table, then that was difficult for him. And I'm the same way. I think a lot of artists are that, because you want to, when you're drawing, you want to draw the cool, fun stuff. So you spend all your time doing action poses and stuff like that, and not just somebody sitting, somebody walking, somebody talking. But everything is really good. It's really, it's not professional. I would say it's getting there. It gets really close to being professional. He's got a lot of different camera angles. He's got a lot of different panel sizes. All of the panels aren't the same size, and it's not talking heads or just moving bodies. The comic really moves around a lot, and that's really awesome. And the time, you can see the different times, the way he uses the transition of time, and that's really cool. So I would say, yeah, I enjoyed this better than Grips Presents #1. And would I get another Eradicators? Maybe. I don't know, just to see how it progresses. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, give me a shout out in the comments, and consider subscribing and hitting the notification button. As for the score, I would give this a 7. I think the art carries it, and the story, as just the story, is pretty good, but the lack of quality dialogue and the lack of characterization really kind of brings it down. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7. So if you're into this kind of stuff, I think you'd really enjoy it. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not the worst Silverwolf comic out there, but I'm hoping that there's probably better ones. So I'll keep looking for the Silverwolf brand. And so let me know what you guys think, and have a great afternoon. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.